So we're really excited about this interview. We have Jonathan from Smeye World, and he's going to show off his brand new figure with surfer Ben Gravy.
Ooh.
Yeah, we actually have it sitting right next to us. I want to talk to you about the inspiration behind the figure. I want to talk about the box because I love the box. I love the artwork and everything. There's so much to talk about. But welcome. We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for having me on.
What is it that made you want to do this?
It was actually kind of one of those really natural processes that almost fate kind of just put it together. So I've been a fan of Ben for many years now, and he was doing an event at a wave pool in New Jersey, and I think I had gone to attend that, and I just showed him our IG just to kind of be like, this is what I do. I'm super into it. And he was like just totally stoked. I mean, he saw it and was like super curious and was like, that's so rad. And we just kind of got to talking. And I think even on IG a couple times we had talked, and like he was kind of like inquiring about like, what's this all about? And I thought it was more like he just kind of like, boy, so I'm like, oh yeah, this is a cool toy, or like, you know, just going over my head that like, you know, maybe some production stuff was even there. And I think then I kind of figured that out, but I didn't feel confident enough at that time to take my first leap into production. I feel like that was like the thought in my head, like, I can't do this. I don't know about this. And then actually it was really starting to talk with Connor from Abominable, talking with you guys a little bit. And I think by the time this airs tomorrow, around then we're going to bring this to the event at Cinnamon tomorrow. So I should be able to show it, but you know, maybe we'll just pull that in here. But here's the proto here of a Gravy Chomp coming soon. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that'll be later this year and should be super cool. But I kind of explained the whole thing with Ben to Connor, and he was super hyped on it. And I felt like seeing like my ideas, telling him and you guys, and seeing some feedback, that kind of was the first, you know, movement to maybe thinking about that. But then we also, you know, as you guys know, we do a lot with Funko prototypes on the site. That's what we like regularly drop and deal with. So much like you, we have a bunch of Funko friends and former Funko friends, and I had been doing a lot of business with the sculptor, and basically just kind of randomly said, like, in our, you know, stuff, like, hey, what if we sculpted this? And then it was like bam, and then once we got the 3D, it just started moving like really fast. You know, it was like, okay, we're in the white water, let's go for it, you know?
We actually have the opposite story, because when we first started discussing Gastly, it was like peak pandemic. So everything was so slow. Like so slow.
Yeah, it was hard to get stuff into production.
Like from the time that I first talked to you about this to now, it feels like this amount of time.
Yeah.
Like,
you moved really quick in the process. I'm pretty impressed with that, in the fact that you're able to come up with a 3D model and you're able to put it in production, and now we have it sitting here on our table. It feels like we were talking just a couple months ago.
I think measured, it was about a year from like the first 3D to us getting like units landed.
Is it that long ago that we talked about it?
I think that I think probably we talked more, maybe like 6 months or something. You know, there was some tooling there. And I think by the time that I talked to you guys about it, I was maybe, you know, it was like remember, because we were talking about factories and stuff. So I was right at the level to like jump. So I had everything before that, because, you know, the first one was a little small and we tooled it and a little this and all that kind of stuff. And then there was about a year prior that I feel like me and Ben started talking. And, you know, Ben's a big part of this too. You know, Ben is working with me. It's not something we're like licensing or we're doing on the side. Like, he's a huge, you know, he's going to be up here tomorrow for this event. He's going to be at stuff and interacting with the fans, the toy fans and stuff, but also his fans, I feel like, and Ben both have I don't know, the same kind of, you know, fire and passion and cool thing about a good community and stoking and fun and, you know, all the things that I feel like are just qualities of our customers, of the toy community, of everything like that. So I think that's going to be a really cool aspect of the whole thing, you know?
Yeah.
That's cool that he's also super involved.
Yeah.
Like, it isn't just an afterthought or, hey, this sounds like it would be cool, take it over, just do something with this. The fact that he's staying involved with it and he wants to be involved in these live events and being a part of like the grand scheme is really cool. That's neat that because you would never really expect that out of somebody who is like a surfer, right? They might look at collectibles like, oh, this is who likes this stuff, nerds, you know.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's into it is really cool. But before we continue, I kind of want to talk about the toy. I'm sitting here, but so the logo is his logo, correct?
It's based on basically his logo. So his logo is a little bit different than that, and that's a reinterpretation of it there, obviously. But essentially, you know, in a most reductive form, a pineapple skull with sunglasses.
Really nice box. I love the design of it. It catches the theming or the mood of it. Because what it reminds me of is like early morning, people going out to surf.
Yeah, that's a dawn patrol. And you can see there too that it's rising because he's from New Jersey, which is also, you know, that's a rarity for a pro surfer to be stationed on the East Coast. So it's really cool. We're on the East Coast, he's on the East Coast, but obviously the sun rises in the east there. So that would be setting, I guess, if it was on the West Coast, you know?
That's cool.
So for the dream, I'm assuming that's something he says?
Yeah, it says he lives by kind of mantra, but yeah, it's just kind of like for the dream. There's a documentary that he made that was titled that, but it's definitely a big part of Gravy lore and all the Gravy fans. Definitely.
Gravy lore. when you say Gravy lore, I'm thinking of all the years of Thanksgiving. Like that's the thing. But when you open the box, so the thing that I'm really excited about, being that we do, you know, toy stuff now with Mischief Toys and all, I'm always so excited to take a look at what people are doing with their boxes. Because artwork is a huge deal to me. I love the toy. Like the toy is like the center of the Tootsie Roll Pop. You know what I'm saying? Totally. But the outside of that Tootsie Roll Pop, you have to work your way in. And I like to see what really is going on here. And the fact that you put the little logos all inside, it reminds me of like a button-up Hawaiian shirt. And I'm going to throw this out to you now. I suggest that you make a button-up Hawaiian shirt with this because I think it would be amazing and I would buy one. I think that would be badass, and we know somebody who can do that. So if you need to know somebody,
we should definitely talk. And in general, just I definitely want to do a lot of cool stuff like that.
That would be incredible, and you could even change the colors and do different variants of it. But that's a whole other discussion. So here's the figure. Figure's awesome. What I like about this figure is that it looks like something. How can I explain this? If you walked into somebody's house and it was sitting there, this almost to me looks less like a random vinyl toy and more like a statue.
Yeah.
That's what this looks like to me. It looks classy.
It does. It's very high quality. It's very fun.
Yes.
I love skulls. I love fruit, and I love summertime. And this like involves all of that.
So the inspiration for, okay, let's start over. Inspiration for this logo. Did Ben Gravy have an why is this?
I think I remember the story, and I've heard Ben tell it before, but maybe we'll save that for maybe bring him on and let him tell that, because I don't want to be out butchering something and get it super wrong.
That's a great idea.
That's a great idea. We would love to have him on.
Yeah, there's a deeper origin story there and a deeper origin story of Ben, and he's really a unique he's a unique pro, he's a unique human, and I think if people, you know, kind of even just follow, you don't have to like surfing even to really follow him, and just he brings a lot to the table. So I'm kind of excited that, you know, people have seen the toy, maybe posted on our socials, they've seen his social, but I think there's a lot more to the story that it's going to be our job how well we can communicate that to people and kind of get them to bridge that gap. But I think if you stick around long enough, there's going to be something that clicks that's like, this isn't just a surfer, this isn't just a toy, you know, that kind of thing. So there's a little bit more to it, you know. You're
almost bringing in a new crowd of people, and what I mean by that is that you have fans that love surfing, they love Ben Gravy, right? So you're introducing a fandom or collectibles to people who probably aren't typically buying collectibles. And
Totally.
I think that's a really brilliant move, because you're going to have people that they love Ben Gravy, they love the surf and stuff, and they're like, oh man, this is Ben Gravy's thing, I got to get this thing, right?
Yeah.
So then when you bring out these different variants, you're then turning them into collectors also.
Yeah, and you may turn collectors into fans of Ben Gravy.
Exactly. It's definitely like it's a two-way thing. Like, we're trying to also expose the toy community, because we love surfing, we live on the coast, we love the water, we love the waves, but also the lore of surfing, of Ben. You don't have to ride a surfboard to be enchanted by it. You don't have to do these things. So yeah, on one side it's like, hey, surfing, here's really cool toys, and on the other side it's like, hey, toys, here's this other thing that we really love. And just being able to blend those together and have those just be a part of things. I'm already like super stoked that I'm getting to be in the middle of that Venn diagram, regardless of like the outcome of everyone else and how it goes down. But I hope that I can convey that message to other people accurately, because it's like, hang around long enough and you'll get it. But it's not something that you can just like, I can't just tell you in a sentence, because there's so much there to be discovered and kind of enamored by.
Well,
Yeah.
that's part of the brilliance of it, right? Because people are going to see this, and any collectible, for the most part, unless it's something that's licensed. If it's something like Chomp, as an example, I see Chomp pop up online back in 2019, and instantly I say to myself, I love the way that looks and I want it, and I want to put it on my shelf. I knew nothing about it. I knew nothing about the artist. I knew nothing about the creators. I didn't know anything but the website, and that it was on the website for me to buy. That was it. The same goes for anything else. Same goes for what we do with Mischief Toys. People learn about it. People learn about this. But the fact in which you are going to, have this up for sale up on a website, and people are going to then learn Ben Gravy's behind it, and then they're like, well, who's Ben Gravy? Then they have to look into who Ben Gravy is, and then it'll be up to you guys to tell the rest of that story, however which way you do it. But you already have a prime spokesman in Ben Gravy. He has a large YouTube channel, a large following. I think that you already have basically the pathway created for this. I think it's already predestined that this is going to work out. This is going to kill. And frankly, we've talked to a lot of people in the community so far, and the people who have seen this that I know are like, that is really damn cool. I really like that. They don't know much about it or what it is or where it comes from, but they like it. Same with me. I'm not a Ben Gravy fan per se. I don't know a whole lot about him. I'm not really big into surfing, but this thing is badass.
It is.
Yeah, and I hope that you can get that like two things. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Heather, but like where I want people to still like it. Like, hey, you don't have to know Ben, you don't have to know Smeye. Like, it's still cool, enjoyable, and then also there's this other side kind of thing too.
Yeah, when you approached me, it made me so excited. Like Chris said, we aren't into surfing. I had never heard of Ben Gravy before this, but not just seeing what it is, intrigues me enough, but your passion behind it and your excitement for it and just how positively you speak about Ben and everything makes me love this so much more.
Yeah.
And I'm like proud, I'm excited. I'm very, very, very happy for you and for Ben and just for this. It's so cool.
I'm always more interested in the background of things, and I know we can't really find out what this is about until we talk to Ben. He's going to give us more background on that, about the logo and everything, where this comes from. But how many iterations did you have to go through before you end up with this iteration? Like, in other words, this particular mold, everything.
I had some trouble initially because the design is, very obviously 2D, and it has a lot of its dimension just in the line work. If you look at his logo, it's really just kind of like told, not necessarily in any kind of like three-dimensional shape to some degree. And so first getting away, that was kind of a hurdle. Like, there was a first couple times where it was like, man, is this gonna be something? But thankfully, our sculptor, she's amazing. You guys might know her, Kelsey. She rocks. She sculpted that, and she just like figured it out as far as how we needed to go in a direction, and that at least gave us to a huge leap forward. And then we went through at least 3 or 4 sizing things, and I'm always, you know how you look, I'm sure you guys have done it too, or you kind of look at a figure one day and look at it the next day, and I wanted it to be something, I like a little bit more of a sizable figure, but I also want it to be something that's like, you know, someone can either A, you know, put 5 on a shelf quite easily, or B, like just, you know, not feel super. So that was really what we started on, like the Goldilocks size. I think it's about 6 inches tall. And so yeah, we went through 3 or 4 sizing things, but there was some hiccups in the beginning, and then we took like a light step forward, and that started to really kind of hone it in.
I think that you picked the absolute perfect size. I didn't know what exactly to expect because we had talked about it, but seeing something in your hand really shows you like what it is, of course. Yeah. And I know that sounds really stupid, but from a picture, you never really know. When I opened it, I was like, this is the perfect size. Yeah,
because you got to think about the collector also, right? Because when you create something like this, if you make it too big, they can't fit too many on a shelf, to your point. And so we think about that stuff also quite a lot. Like, we don't want to make it anything that's just too ridiculously big, although we did make Gargoyle and he's gargantuan. But this thing is perfect sizing. So you could put a ton of different variants of this on the shelf. And I'm always looking for that personally when I'm going out to buy a brand new collectible. So this is cool.
Another thing I wanted to say that was cool is about the sizing is because you already have a very ingrained size of a pineapple in your head. So the cool thing about this with photography and the photos that people post, there's going to be ways to really manipulate the size of the figure, right, as far as how it's perceived, because our mind wants to kind of like see full size. And then I also, you know, hope at some point, maybe, you know, if we're lucky enough to do a mega, it gives us that room to maybe, you know, bring like a full size pineapple, like, which would be rad, you know, like life-size cool pineapple you know, thing at some point. And another thing that this is what I was thinking, I was a little bit afraid about the variants and how they would look, like how many pineapples with sunglasses type thing, just, you know, but we do have variants that will come, and I am so excited because I think that they look amazing, like together, you know, because I think that's a big thing also, like when you're collecting, do 3, 4, 5 of these next to each other, like look appealing. Because sometimes for me, I like something a lot, but after like 3, it's like that perfect 3 or something, it's like, you know, or 2 or whatever your thing is. But I'm really, for me, and again, I'm probably, you know, subjectively maybe the wrong person to ask, but I was super stoked to see them, you know, sit next to each other and stuff, and like play off of each other, and how that dynamic looked, you know.
Absolutely. Awesome. Yeah, because you want the collection to look it's the same but different, right? Yeah. So you have all your different little Ben Gravy, what is this referred to? What do we call this? Gravy? Is that the name of it?
Gravy, yeah.
One thing I noticed in the collectible is the color change here. Moving up, it gets like lighter.
Yeah.
And also like this really cool like paint color detail on the figure. Was that something that was found in your original artwork that you sent over when you were getting this thing created? Or did you find out about this like fun capability when you started working with the manufacturer?
No, we had a gradient on the leaves, you know, put in from the get-go. So it was kind of funny. If you look at, there's different logos, editions of Ben's logo flying around that are all, you know, roughly the same, but a lot of them have a gradient. And I was like, yeah, your logo has a gradient. So we put a gradient on. Ben was like, oh, really? Like, kind of like, I didn't even realize kind of thing. But also, it's a very interesting toy in the way that it has a lot of limitations that I think if you went straight into, we're going to produce a toy with these goals in mind, you wouldn't maybe necessarily make this, because there's going to be difficulty in terms of pad prints, in terms of production things. So I think the gradient and different paint techniques, though, it will lend itself well to this, to where maybe some of the more conventional, you know, certain molds they're built to have, right? Guest artists on open spaces, flat surfaces, they know what they're going to do with the production, so they're designing it with that in mind. But we had to kind of reverse that way, because we're working with inside a framework. Like, we can't make it like this or we can't make it like that, because we want to bring Ben's life into it and make it really feel like it's a, you know, collaboration with Ben and not something that we totally transformed, you know?
This figure is going to look good. Picturing in my head, I'm thinking like translucent to make it look like water, right? Something like that would look really cool next to it. But like just different colorways and things of this is going to look really badass. Metallics. And like I was saying, I don't know if I said this earlier or not. I feel like I did, but different sunglasses. I'm thinking like those 90s sunglasses, you know what I mean? With like the or 80s or 90s where it has like those really hard like edges to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you did stuff like that, like you could almost make like a synth wave looking one, you know what I mean? With the sun and like all those cool color lines. Like there's so many cool ideas that are like bouncing around in my head for something like this. And you know what I really love about this figure, and I hope I'm not saying this in this being taken, I just don't want it to be taken the wrong way, but I love how simple this is.
Yeah.
It's a very simple figure.
It's simple, but it's very complex at the same time. It's weird.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's cool. I love it. I think you guys did such a great job with it. The mold for this thing, how did that go? Did you have an easy mold process? Because obviously, for everybody out there, you know, your company, you guys sell a lot of other collectibles. You've never really gotten into your own. So this is your first time ever doing anything like this, right?
This is my first time ever with all the things that I've done. I've worked with custom artists, done this, done that, a lot of things in toys. I've developed a lot of relationships. We know a ton of people that are in the production industry, but this is the first time I've ever communicated with the factory, done, you know, a mold. And we actually had, some actually major hurdles in the beginning. So when it was submitted and approved by the factory, you know, we really wanted it to be a 3-piece mold. That was really what I want. I want core, leaves, glasses. Like I did not want parting lines, pieces. You see certain things, and that's what I shot for. That's what they approved. But when it came back, there was 5 pieces. There was a nasty parting line. And if you don't know, for any of the viewers, a parting line is when you're separating 2 pieces and you're having to use glue to put them together versus it being one single piece. And usually you do that at the bottom of jeans or on shoulders, or there's places where you can elegantly place parting lines to where it really makes sense and it looks right. You know, like the neck, it's really normal to have something like that. Or where the leaves and the core separate, but they had one that separated the leaves in the middle and then had one that kind of wrapped diagonally around the sorry for getting up here, but it wrapped diagonally around the back of this on one of these, and it really, to me, I did not like it. And so I was really afraid that that's kind of like where we're going to end up. And they tried to say like, this can't be pulled right, we can't do this. And I was like, well, I'm going to go somewhere else or figure this out. And they got together and they figured it out. So the leaves we did figure out how to get in one, which is amazing. And then there is a 4th piece, but now the seam, again, like where I was talking about, you know, it's a parting line that makes sense. So it's tucked right behind here and it follows a seam that would normally kind of already be there. Yeah, and so I'm really happy with it and how it turned out. But a mold, as you guys know, you know, it can take 30 to 40 and maybe even more days to create the mold. So that probably set us back, I would say, roughly like 50 days.
Wow.
And you also have challenges painting this figure. So it has a lot of texture to it, even though it, like you said, it's kind of, you know, a simple or elegant kind of design, but it really creates a lot of hurdles in production. And there's some cool things we're going to be able to do with it, I hope, just like Chris was kind of talking about how he's seeing it and the different options that you can do and dream up. And hopefully we'll get to the stage where we, you know, sell to the point where we feel like we can go into alternate molds or do really cool stuff. We definitely want to, you know, surprise, delight, and we're collectors and we want to make cool stuff. But you can't do certain things on this that you can maybe do on other toys. And so it has its own unique set of challenges to bring, you know, variety and to bring cool stuff. But I also think it has different things like that you can do with it that you can't do with other stuff. So there's a give and take there, you know? There
are so many things you could do with this. In my mind, they're just bouncing constantly. I'm not even listening to half of the things you're saying because I can't stop thinking about what I would want to see in the thing. But I'll give you an idea. If we could ever do a Mischief Toys mashup, are you ready? You want to hear what I have to say?
Tell me.
Because most of the time you're like, shut up. Fire. It's fire, like translucent fire. Mm-hmm. Glasses, but one side is bigger than the other. So it looks like Gastly's eyes, little horns.
I like it.
You see what I'm saying? Or turn these into horns or something.
That would be sick.
Right? Yeah. So those you could have these where they come out like horns, or see how these little guys are sticking out? Like those would be like little horns. But that's just me mashing together Mischief toys. But I've been thinking just about all the different things you could do. Make it look like almost like a grenade. Right? So
that'd be cool.
Yeah. So you could do things like that. But
I think you guys, I'm not going to give away too many hints, but I think you've at least crossed 2 things off that you may or may not see from us already.
That's exciting.
Awesome. Yeah. I guess we all think alike, right? When it comes to being creative and cool things that you'd like to see. But I think there's so many different opportunities with this. So this is exciting. So you actually have an in-person event tomorrow, right?
Yeah. So I think by the time this airs, maybe it'll actually be going on. We are going. So another cool thing, like our local surf shop, Cinnamon Rainbows, it's right down the road. It's where I shop. It's who I love to shop with. They're great guys. It's in Northampton, New Hampshire. If you're ever in the area buying anything surf related, great guys, great shop. And so it's really cool to be able to go in there and, meet with Ben there, and it'll be an in-person event. He'll be signing and kind of doing classic Ben stuff, and we'll have our booth there with, the very first sales of the vinyl, and we have a limited poster and pin. We actually, I know that posters are, it's a whole nother culture, and I don't know if people really get the magnitude, but Moonlight Speed did this poster, and I've been wanting to work with him for like 3 years. He's a friend of a friend, and he's very well known in the poster world. There's, I guarantee you, over a dozen bands that you guys know and love that he's done posters for. Very cool guy, amazing artist, all hand illustrated, all hand screen printed, limited edition of 100. And for me, it's one of the most special things I've ever done to like have him and Ben and us on the same, piece of art. It's like one of those things where I'm like, I don't care if you guys like it, I'll keep them all, whatever, because I just love it. And you should definitely check out his Instagram as well, Moonlight Speed. He's an amazing artist, and does a lot of work for a lot of different bands, and had a showcase at South by Southwest recently. Amazing guy, amazing artist. So we definitely in general are really wanting to leave the door open for all types of collabs, toy companies, different things. Ben sponsors as well. So one of his sponsors are going to be working with us on, a release, and maybe another. So things like that. And I think there's a lot of cool opportunities in terms of that, where instead of like maybe a license thing where it's like a Spider-Man gravy or whatever, just a generic name, it's more of a unique something that's geared towards surfing, or something that's geared towards something we wouldn't expect, or whatever,
Yeah, so your in-person event will have both a limited poster or print and limited pin. That's amazing. I can't wait to see what they look like. Are you going to post photos of this stuff on your Instagram beforehand?
Yeah, I actually should mention, so the pin and the poster just got posted today, the pin yesterday, but we also started a Instagram just for gravy, all things related. So it's stoked on gravy, but there's an underscore in between each word. So stoked _ gravy. And so that way we'll still have all the official stuff, coming through Smeye, but that way we can also, do some stuff that's a little bit more gravy oriented, as far as, post fan photos, all different types of stuff. And hopefully we get just some kind of cool content, like all things gravy related there.
That's
an incredible print.
I want to look at it again.
Yeah, that's a great print.
It's hand screen too, so when you hold it, I mean, it's got like the paint is just popping off. He hand drew that and hand screen printed that, and it's really, I mean, the whole poster world runs deep. Like, I don't know a ton about it, but there's so many amazing artists doing like some of the most absolutely bonkers work that you would just like, I mean, just insane.
That's so gorgeous. I love it.
Yeah, that poster's badass.
There's so much going on, but the colors make it simple.
So when you look at the dynamic of that, that's only a 4-color screen. But
wow.
There's ways that he manipulates those colors to make it, when I showed like the people who made the merch here, they can do up to like 18 color screens, and I'm like, well, how many colors is this? And they're like, oh, I don't know, that's probably like 16 colors, and it's like, wow, he's just manipulated it. Like, they couldn't do it in 4, I don't think. But yeah, it's a wild thing. There's always like a step to these posters where I'm like, they go like, yeah, it's just like this, and then like this, and then like this, and you're like, well, what happened in between these two steps? Because it's like you went from like, you know, blue and green to like, holy shit.
This is a great figure. I think you guys did a really killer job. I'm excited to see more variants of this figure. Are you guys also going to be messing with the boxes for the variants?
Yes, every box has or every variant has its own box, and so they're at the very least colors changes, but we also have some design changes, and they're all different, and we plan to keep them all different, but we also want to we're really trying to also create like a cohesive family as far as the box art as well. So when you set them all together, that there's some real synergy there. So not taking a huge departure, like this one's all different, that one's all different, but I think you'll see that they're very different and they look really, really cool next to each other. So if you look at the front too, we made sure to not put any text on the front because we want it to kind of have like a mural, so the sticker is the only text.
What is the price of this figure?
All of the figures right now, as our current plan, I think is $49.
Okay.
That's an excellent price.
Yeah.
One of the things, our goal was to try to keep the pricing as low as we possibly could, because we have a lot of people coming from Ben's side of the fence, and I didn't want them to be intimidated. And I think $49 for some people that we're used to like, hey, $400, cool, no problem, I want it. When addressing a large group of people that aren't familiar with a platform like this, I wanted to try to make it as accessible as possible too. And you know, when we're producing this few, even though it might still seem expensive, as you guys know, to other people, you know, the quantity and keeping it limited and stuff like that obviously gives you some restriction on what you can do with that. Our focus was to reach as many people as we could, more than try to, you know, kind of make it a more exclusionary price, you know?
It's hard to run a business and make limited figures while making the price palatable.
And if you followed Smeye World, I think that you know, like we always try to make sacrifices for, you know, quality, customer care, all that kind of stuff. Like I would much rather just end up with a great product in people's hands that they enjoy, that hopefully we can make work, you know, but I try to not think so much about that, you know, being a focal point as far as just, let's just get this into people's hands and hope that they enjoy it, you know?
Great price point, great figure, great box. So far, you've made all the right decisions as far as I'm concerned. I think you guys are going to kill it. I think that the pin, I think the poster or print that you have come up with, I think that's amazing.
It's incredible.
This is really good, man. This is such a great start to this new brand that you guys have developed.
No,
I think it's cool.
This is crazy. It doesn't feel like a start. Like all of this, everything that you've done, it feels like this isn't your first time doing this. And it's blowing my mind because like, I mean, I know you've done research though, and that's the difference between like us when we started and you. Like we did a little bit, but not nearly as much as you. And I feel like we're talking to you years after, you know, you being into this, but this is your first figure. It's just so mind-blowing to me how much thought and care you've put into everything from the box to the figure to this event to the pin and the print. I mean, you're making all the right moves, and this is cool.
I appreciate it, and I really have, like, I mean, I think, you know, part of it was just luck, and we had already, obviously being in the industry for 6 years, had a lot of really good relationships. I mean, we worked with killer artists, killer sculptors, killer people. And I also think, you know, working with Ben, I feel like I had a really big responsibility. I'm working with someone's universe, I'm working with them, I'm working with their IP, and it's not just for me, but I feel like for all of toys, for what we do, I, you know, want to show up and show out that like we make cool stuff, we have a good eye for things, we design things well. And I don't mean we as in Smeye World, I mean like all of us, like you guys, like Connor, like, you know, all the people that we know and love. You have just brilliant talent that is in this sector that I think a lot of people, I just want to share with that and show them that it's, you know, like everyone knows there's like really good video game designers or this designer or that designer, but when you come to our medium, it's like a new thing. So it's cool to be able to, you know, make sure that we're operating like at some level that makes a random person that's never seen what we do go, whoa, that's cool, you know?
For us, is about the fun. If it weren't fun, we wouldn't do it. And that's the fun part about this, is being creative, coming up with some really wacky ideas, right? And I can tell here that this is all obviously all creative. There's a lot of passion and love into it, and that's why it'll be successful.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to make it successful.
I love that.
You killed it, man, both you guys. And I hope that we can get Ben Gravy on here also at some point, talk about the background of the logo itself and all things in between.
Yeah, and that'll have to happen after we take a couple hours and watch the documentary, because we have been meaning to watch it. We bought it when you had mentioned it to us months and months ago, and we still have not watched it, and we need to. So that's our mission within the next like week or two.
Absolutely.
We're going to do that. But Jonathan, thank you so much for coming on and talking to us about this. When does this go on sale? Because I'm going to buy another one, of course, to support you, but I want to give one of our lucky viewers on the channel a gravy, their very own gravy.
Totally. Yeah, that would be epic. I really appreciate you guys just having me on and just being able to be a part of that. And I mentioned this to Ben because he's coming up, but he'd totally be down, and I think he'd love to come on. I think it'd be a really cool dynamic to be able to get a whole new, you know, just asking him any kind of questions and be really fun and interesting. This goes on sale Tuesday, June 18th at noon Eastern. So the first units, we will have some pre-release units that we save for the event tomorrow, and then we will have the allocation for the main release. So this is going to be the only this will be evergreen. If we have enough demand, we will make more. The OG is the only one, but this right here will be the only 100% Stoke version. So it has 100% Stoke stickers. So the first edition will have some uniqueness to it and will be limited in its way. And the first edition is limited to 300 units.
So all the fans out there that love Ben Gravy, also the people who love collecting designer toys like Vulnerable Toys and Ghastly or Mischief Toys, add this right in between, because this is a perfect addition to your collection. You got to go and get your Gravy. He's badass. Thank you so much, Jonathan. We appreciate you, man.
Thank you, guys. Cheers.
Guys, let us know what you think about this brand new figure in the comment section down below. We want to hear from you. And don't forget, next Tuesday, the 18th, this guy will go up on sale. So make sure you go and check him out. And also follow them on Instagram.